Welcome to the show, everyone. Today's topic is one that fascinates and often frightens psychopathy. To help us navigate this complex subject, we have Dr. Eleanor Vance, a leading expert in forensic psychiatry. Dr. Vance, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here to hopefully shed some light on this often misunderstood condition.
Absolutely. Now, before we dive into our interview, let's start with the basics. Dr. Vance, could you briefly define psychopathy for our audience, perhaps drawing on the DSM 5 criteria?
Certainly, psychopathy, as outlined by the DSM-5 and often assessed using tools like the Psychopathy Checklist Revised, or PCLR, is characterized by a constellation of personality traits and antisocial behaviors. Key features include a lack of empathy or remorse, a grandiose sense of self-worth, superficial charm, pathological lying, and a tendency towards impulsivity and irresponsibility.
So it's more than just being a criminal?
Exactly. That's a crucial misconception to dispel. While psychopathy is often associated with criminal behavior, not all individuals with psychopathic traits are criminals. Many may function in society without ever breaking the law, though their relationships and interactions may be significantly impacted.
That's an important distinction. And to further clarify, we are speaking with someone who has been diagnosed with psychopathy, but their identity will remain anonymous to protect their privacy. Dr. Vance, can you speak to the ethical considerations involved in conducting such an interview?
Absolutely. It's paramount that this interview is conducted with full respect for the individual's well being and autonomy. We've obtained informed consent, ensuring they understand the purpose of the interview and their right to withdraw at any time. Anonymity is crucial to protect them from potential stigma or discrimination. Our goal here is to promote understanding, not to sensationalize or glorify any harmful behaviors.
Thank you, Dr. Vance. Now let's turn to our guest. Could you tell us a bit about your early life, just some general details, without revealing anything that could specifically identify you?
Sure, I grew up in a fairly normal suburban environment. Middle class family, went to public schools. Nothing particularly traumatic happened, at least not that I can recall as being particularly impactful. I was always a bit different, I suppose.
Different in what way?
I never really understood why people got so emotional about things, like a friend's pet dying or a sad movie. Just didn't register with me the same way it seemed to with everyone else.
That brings us to our next question. How do you perceive emotions like sadness, joy, or fear, both in yourself and in other people?
In myself, I experience physiological responses. Increased heart rate, maybe sweating, but I don't necessarily connect those to a feeling in the way others describe it. In other people, I see the outward displays, crying, smiling, yelling. I understand what those displays are to mean, but I don't with them.
So you recognize the signs, but you don't have the corresponding internal experience?
Exactly. It's like reading a book in a language you don't speak fluently. You can decipher the words, but you don't get the full nuance or emotional impact.
Dr. Vance, is this a common experience for individuals with psychopathy?
Yes, it's a hallmark. The reduced capacity for empathy, both cognitive and emotional, is a core feature. They can understand intellectually what someone else is feeling, but they don't experience that feeling themselves.
Let's talk about social norms. How do you view the unwritten rules that govern social interactions? Things like waiting in line, saying please and thank you.
I see them as conventions, useful for maintaining order and avoiding conflict, but not inherently meaningful. I understand that following them makes life easier, so I generally do, but I don't feel any internal compulsion to do so.
So it's more of a strategic choice than a moral imperative?
Precisely. If being polite gets me what I want, I'll be polite. If being assertive is more effective, I'll be assertive. It's about achieving the desired outcome.
Can you describe a situation where someone expected you to feel empathy? How did you react?
I remember once a coworker was telling me about her grandmother passing away. She was clearly very upset, crying and everything. I knew I was supposed to offer comfort, so I said something like, I'm sorry for your loss. But inside, I felt nothing. I didn't understand why she was so distraught. It's just a part of life, right? People die.
Because not people you mean just
And how did she react to your response?
I think she sensed my lack of genuine emotion. She kind of just nodded and walked away. I could tell she was disappointed, maybe even offended, but I didn't know what else to say.
Dr. Vance, is this difficulty in expressing appropriate emotional responses a common challenge?
Absolutely. It can lead to significant social difficulties. Individuals with psychopathy may struggle to form genuine connections, and they may be perceived as cold, detached, or insincere.
How do you personally differentiate between right and wrong?
Right and wrong are legal and societal constructs. Things that are beneficial to me, or at least don't hinder me, are right in my book. Things that get me into trouble are wrong.
Great. So it's a very pragmatic view.
Yes, survival based. Morality feels like a handicap most of the time.
How do you feel about society's expectations of how to behave?
Annoying, like wearing uncomfortable shoes. You have to do it to fit in, but they pinch and rub the wrong way.
Let's delve into your relationships. How would you describe your relationships with others? What do you look for in a relationship?
Relationships are transactional. I look for people who can provide me with something: companionship, resources, entertainment. I offer them something in return, of course, but it's always a calculated exchange.
So it's a calculated give and take.
Exactly. There's no room for purely altruistic relationships. Those strike me as foolish.
Do you often act on impulse? Can you give an example?
Yes, impulsivity is definitely a factor. I remember one time I was at a casino and lost a significant amount of money. I knew I shouldn't keep playing, but I couldn't stop myself. I just kept chasing the losses, hoping to recoup everything. I ended up losing even more.
Was that a common experience?
I've had similar experiences with other things: making rash decisions in business, overspending, engaging in risky behaviors. It's like there's a disconnect between my rational brain and my impulses.
Have you ever knowingly broken rules or laws? What motivated you?
Yes, I have. Usually it's been for personal gain, financial or otherwise. I've bent the rules in business deals. I've cheated on taxes. The motivation is always the same: to get ahead, to achieve my goals, regardless of the consequences for others.
And do you feel remorse or guilt about those actions?
Not really. I mean, I regret getting caught, of course, but I don't feel bad about the actions themselves. It was just a calculated risk that didn't pay off.
Dr. Vance, is this lack of remorse a key indicator of psychopathy?
It's one of the most defining features. The inability to experience genuine remorse or guilt allows them to engage in harmful behaviors without feeling constrained by conscience.
When you pursue a goal, what drives you? What are you hoping to achieve?
Power, control, success. I want to be at the top. I want to be the one calling the shots. I want to be admired and respected, or if not respected, then feared.
So, it's about achieving a position of dominance.
Precisely. The world is a competition, and I intend to win.
Have you ever found yourself trying to influence someone to do something they wouldn't normally do? How?
Of course, manipulation is a tool, like any other. I might use flattery, guilt tripping, or even outright lies to get someone to do what I want. It depends on the person and the situation.
Can you give an example?
I once convinced a business partner to invest in a risky venture by exaggerating the potential returns and downplaying the risks. I knew it was a long shot, but I needed his money to make the deal work. He ended up losing a lot of money, but by then, I was already out.
And how do you feel about the consequences of your actions on other people?
They're unfortunate, but often unavoidable. In a competitive world, someone has to lose. I prefer it not to be me.
How do you think your tendencies have affected your life trajectory?
They've helped me achieve a certain level of success, no doubt. I'm more ruthless, more focused, and less encumbered by emotions than most people. But they've also created problems. I've burned bridges, made enemies, and alienated people who cared about me.
How do your traits affect close relationships and family?
It's difficult to maintain close relationships. People eventually see through the facade. They realize I'm not capable of genuine empathy or connection. Family is complicated. There's a sense of obligation, but not much genuine affection.
What are your greatest hopes for the future? What are you most afraid of?
I hope to continue to amass wealth and power. I want to leave a legacy. I'm most afraid of losing control, of becoming irrelevant.
What brings you personal satisfaction or a sense of accomplishment?
Winning, overcoming challenges, outsmarting my rivals, seeing my plans come to fruition.
Do you believe that people with psychopathic traits can change? What are your thoughts on therapy or other intervention?
I doubt it. I think it's largely hardwired. Therapy might help some people manage their impulses or learn to mimic appropriate emotions, but it won't fundamentally change who they are.
Do you feel integrated into society or do you feel like an outsider?
An outsider, definitely. I observe the rules and customs of society, but I don't feel like I truly belong. I'm like a visitor in a foreign land.
Dr. Vance, in summary, what key insights can we take away from this interview?
This interview highlights the complex nature of psychopathy. It's not simply about being a criminal or a monster. It's a constellation of personality traits that significantly impact an individual's relationships, decision making, and overall life trajectory.
It's crucial to remember that while psychopathy can be associated with harmful behaviors, it's also a spectrum, and understanding is key. What are your final thoughts?
It's important to approach this topic with nuance and avoid generalizations. Not everyone with psychopathic traits is dangerous, and many can lead productive lives. However, it's also essential to be aware of the potential risks and to implement appropriate safeguards.
If you'd like to learn more about psychopathy, I recommend checking out the work of Dr. Robert Hare, who developed the PCLR, as well as organizations like the Society for the Scientific Study of Psychopathy. Dr. Vance, thank you so much for your expertise.
Thank you for having me. I hope this has been informative for your audience.